Hello and welcome to the Chicago Federation of Labor's 2021 Virtual Labor Day celebration. My name is Bob Reiter and I am president of the Chicago Federation of Labor. The CFL represents 300 affiliate unions who in turn represent 500,000 working women and men in the Chicagoland area. This year, 2021, is the 125th anniversary of the founding of the CFL way back in 1896. Since that time, we have been proudly celebrating Labor Day, which has its roots right here in Chicago. Many of you have attended our Labor Day luncheon celebrations in the past. While we still aren't able to get together in person for the luncheon this year, we can still honor the working women and men of Chicago and Cook County. Before I make my remarks, I want to recognize a few very special people whose contributions have been vital to the success of the CFL. Thank you to CFL Secretary Treasurer Don Villar, whose passion and dedication to Chicago's workers is an inspiration every day. Thank you to this year's Labor Day Committee, my friend Rose Daly, our CFL First Vice President and my dear friend, Terry Hancock from Teamsters Joint Council 25, and Gary Perinar from the Chicago Regional Council of Carpenters. I also want to give a special shout out to Brian Hickey, who retired this past year as President Business Manager of Local 399 and General Secretary Treasurer of the International Union of Operating Engineers. The CFL Labor Day Luncheon started at Local 399, and Brian will always be an honorary member of this committee. Thank you to the Executive Boards and Finance Committee members of the CFL and CFL Workforce and Community Initiative for your continuous support. Thank you to Tim Dre and Pat Devaney of the Illinois AFL-CIO and to Ralph Affronti and Mike Masaleo of the Chicago and Cook County Building and Construction Trades Council for your partnership and collaboration this past year. Thank you to the staffs of the CFL and the CFL Initiative and our extended staff for your amazing work throughout the year. Thank you to all of the amazing city, county, state, and federal elected officials who have supported working women and men in Chicago and Cook County over the past year, including Governor Pritzker, Mayor Lightfoot, President Harmon, Speaker Welch, President Preckwinkle, Senator Durbin, and Senator Duckworth. I also want to take this moment to recognize the passing of the late Rich Trumpka, President of the AFL-CIO. Bob Simpson, longtime president of the Chicago chapter of the Coalition of Black Trade Unionists, Karen Lewis, President Emerita of the Chicago Teachers Union, and Paul Merkel, longtime CFL auditor and friend. Please join me in a moment of silence to honor these great labor leaders and all of the union members who passed away in the previous year. Thank you. I would also like to congratulate new AFL-CIO President Liz Schuler and new Secretary Treasurer Fred Redmond. With Executive Vice President Tafari Gabre, this is the most diverse leadership team the AFL-CIO has ever had. And finally, thank you to our sponsors at all levels for making this event such a success. I want to especially recognize our Fitzpatrick Circle sponsors, the Chicago Regional Council of Carpenters and GCM Grosvenor, and our Solidarity Circle sponsors including IUOE Local 150, Chicago and Cook County Building and Construction Trades Council, IBEW Local 134, LIUNA Chicago Laborers District Council, Painters District Council 14, SEIU Illinois State Council, Teamsters Local 731, Ulico, Alvarez & Associates, Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois, ComEd, and People's Gas. I would also like to thank our Haymarket Circle sponsors, including ASME Council 31, BAC Administrative District Council 1 of Illinois, the Chicago Teachers Union, Heat and Frost Insulators Local 17, IATSC Locals 2, 110, 476, 600, 750, 769, and 829, IBEW Local 9, the Illinois Education Association, IUOE Local 399, Plumbers Local 130 UA, Teamsters Joint Council 25, UFCW Local 1546, Senate President Don Harmon, Hunt Insurance Agency, and Governor J.B. Pritzker. Thank you to our Pullman Circle sponsors. Thank you to our Union Row Circle sponsors. And thank you to our Gompers Park Circle sponsors. You can see a complete list of our Labor Day sponsors at cfllabor.day.com. As I mentioned earlier, this year marks the 125th anniversary of the founding of the CFL. On November 9, 1896, American Federation of Labor President Samuel Gompers granted the CFL its charter, bringing to life a new organization to give voice to the workers of this great city. Since that fateful day in 1896, the CFL has weathered depressions and boom times, natural disasters and shifting political winds, pro-worker leaders and anti-union zealots. But we have never forgotten the spirit of solidarity that built this city, this movement, and this great organization. It was solidarity that carried us through the early years, as the CFL saw 10 different presidents serve in its first 10 years of existence. It was solidarity that was the bedrock of President John Fitzpatrick's 40-year term in office. From the solidarity he preached in organizing the packing houses and steel mills to the solidarity spread across the country by WCFL, the voice of labor. It was solidarity that carried Fitzpatrick's successor, William A. Lee, through a tumultuous period of American history, ensuring the CFL stood on the right side of history during the Civil Rights era, as well as the plight of workers as the economy began to fracture. And it has been solidarity that has guided our organization in the modern era as we fight for all workers to have respect in the workplace and decent treatment on the job. Please join me in watching this short film about the CFL's 125-year legacy of solidarity.
In the late 1800s in Chicago, tension between workers and employers had reached a fever pitch.
It was a significant time in the city of Chicago. when the moneyed interests were pushing down on the working people.
Workers and their unions called for a general strike that by May 1st of 1886, all workers should be on strike in this country for the 8-hour day. But Chicago was really the epicenter of the labor movement at that time, and up to 80,000 workers in Chicago were on strike.
At the time, the whole city was in turmoil, I think. But over at the McCormick Reaper plant, they had cut the wages of the workers.
A meeting to protest treatment of the workers was held on the night of May 4th in Haymarket Square. It began as a peaceful protest, but as police moved in to break up the meeting, a sudden explosion rocked the crowd. Several people died in the ensuing chaos, and scores were injured.
They took leaders of the movement for the fight of the 8-hour workday. They tried them, sentenced them, hung them, without any real evidence.
Many people believe that the Haymarket tragedy was the single most important event that influenced labor in the United States, if not the entire world.
After Haymarket, we get into the 1890s. We're talking about George Pullman, the American Railway Union.
The Pullman workers called for a strike, ultimately getting the American Railway Workers Union, led by Eugene Debs, to support the strike that ended up being a national strike across the country and shut down the railroad system.
It was very simple. We needed power. It was power that you couldn't achieve by having only one union.
Now, Chicago had other local labor councils, but none of them collected all the power in one place.
So we needed the creation of the Chicago Federation of Labor to bring all those voices together. We've been here since 1896.
But what the labor movement is able to do when they come together through a collective body like the CFL is they're able to harness the entire breadth and strength and collective action of the entire labor movement when the time comes and when it's needed.
At the call of American Federation of Labor President Samuel Gompers, the Chicago Federation of Labor was created on November 9, 1896. One of the first presidents of the newly formed CFL was John Fitzpatrick.
John Fitzpatrick was a horseshoer from Ireland who, when he came to the United States, became this incredible trade union activist. He started with the CFL as an organizer and became not only our president, but our leader.
And it's his reform model that helped make the Chicago Federation of Labor a very powerful and very progressive labor organization in the entire country.
He fought for justice for workers regardless of race, at a time when that wasn't easy.
For example, in 1919, race riots engulfed the nation and Chicago in what was to be known as the Red Summer. The CFL, under Fitzpatrick's leadership, urged workers to stand united, regardless of race.
The August 2nd, 1919 edition of the Federation News had a statement in it that was very explicit that said that union workers in the city should be protecting black citizens of the city of Chicago.
John Fitzpatrick supported the organizing of the meatpackers at the Union stockyards, and he understood that the unions that were dominated by whites needed to have blacks integrated into the unions, and he supported that.
John Fitzpatrick and CFL Secretary Edward Nockels, a member of IBEW Local 134, were innovators, from their organizing tactics to their embrace of new technologies.
John Fitzpatrick and Ed Nockels founded their own radio station, WCFL, back in the early days of radio.
The voice of labor at the WCFL gave everybody an opportunity to discuss the labor issue of the day.
So they were very cutting edge for their time.
After Fitzpatrick's death in 1946, William A. Lee, a Teamster bakery driver, would become the president of the CFL, using his practical idealism to guide the organization through a changing world for nearly 40 years.
In the 1950s and 1960s, you saw an ever-increasing fight for racial justice and equity. That fight also occurred here in Chicago. the CFL and its affiliates supported Dr. King when he came here in 1966.
The CFL, they pushed hard. They pushed really hard in parades and marches and pushing legislators on the Voting Rights Act, this type of stuff.
An outgrowth of the civil rights movement was the emergence of new black leaders like Congressman Harold Washington. In 1983, despite incredible odds, Chicago elected Harold as its first black mayor.
When Harold Washington first ran for mayor, the CFL supported him in his first election, and he also supported him in his re-election.
Organized labor always gets what it wants. If it wants Harold, you've got Harold.
We felt he had a great union record as a congressman.
My union, the Coalition of Black Trade Unions, worked to get Harold elected. I knocked on doors. I even babysat in the projects for people to be able to go out and vote. When Harold became mayor, we got collective bargaining in the state of Illinois. We were able to organize employees in the city of Chicago, which was an exciting experience.
In the 1990s, the CFL continued the fight for justice by hosting a rally with Cesar Chavez in 1990 and a visit by South African freedom fighter Nelson Mandela in 1993.
Oh, it was so exciting to have Nelson here. The Illinois Labor Network Against Apartheid. We boycotted Shell. We fought fights like Free Moses Mayakisu, who was an activist from South Africa. We were rallying at the South African consulate and were arrested. So that organization basically was the push to get Nelson here in Chicago.
Today, the CFL continues to build on that spirit of solidarity that has guided the organization since 1896, supporting its affiliates and all workers in the fight for a better world. In recent years, the CFL has led the charge to raise the minimum wage, protect retirement security, pass fair work week and paid sick leave ordinances, and lift up collective action and collective voice in Chicago, Cook County, and beyond.
For 125 years, the CFL has been fighting for social justice, racial equity, and for workers.
And it's that ability to harness those different industries that gives the CFL its uniqueness. It's really the only organization that can do that. And when it's done right, and when folks come together, when the leaders of these organizations find common interest, something magical happens.
If we don't keep organizing, we won't have anybody to fight for us, right? We've got to organize, we've got to grow.
The one thing that's common is that we continue to fight and we continue to look for new and interesting ways to do it. Our history, our people, our purpose, our solidarity, these things are all intertwined. They are what make us who we are, and they are the reason we do this important work. This past year has been a roller coaster for all workers. From the depths of a dark winter of illness to opportunity brought by vaccines and now a time of uncertainty, the workers of Chicago and Cook County have persevered through it all. At the CFL, we have been proud to stand with them every step of the way. We stood with workers at McCormick Place in November, distributing Thanksgiving meals to 2,100 convention, hospitality, entertainment, and service industry workers. Thank you to the Chicago Regional Council of Carpenters, IBEW Local 134, McCormick Place, and countless other organizations for your support. We stood with workers by helping to pass legislation at the city, county, and state levels to protect those hardest hit by the pandemic. One of our proudest moments in the past year was partnering with Unite Here Local 1 to pass a hotel worker right to return ordinance, which ensures our hotel workers can return to their old jobs as the hospitality industry comes back. Again, we stood with workers in honoring the late, great Richard Trumka, an icon of the modern labor movement and a friend to myself and all workers in Chicago. His sudden passing in August was a shock to us all, a loss that we will not soon recover from. And we stood with workers this past spring by setting up several CFL vaccination clinics for union members and their families. We were honored to host Vice President Kamala Harris, along with state and local elected leaders at a clinic in April. Please join me as we take a look at the impact these clinics had for local workers.
Thank you so much.
We're here today making sure that we're protecting the workers who have been protecting this city for the last year.
Vice President Kamala Harris toured the Chicago Federation of Labor's mass vaccination site.
The first in the nation, run by unions for union members.
This site is a model for the country of organized labor, creating this safe place for other working people to come, where their dignity is recognized, where the dignity of work is recognized.
I was looking to get vaccinated. I couldn't find any other opening, and this came about, and I'm really thankful.
Congratulations, my friend, you just got vaccinated.
Do you have any questions today?
I'm out and about every day with the members. I caught COVID back in early November. Thank God I didn't have any real problems. But the wife was in the hospital, so.
Union members have sacrificed their lives and their livelihoods each and every day of this crisis, either by risking their health and safety to go to work, or by being forced to stay home without a paycheck when they'd much rather be on the job.
I want to thank you on behalf of a grateful city for everything that you have done every day through this pandemic.
I've been at home the whole time. There's no concerts, no theater, no trade shows, no conventions. So
Great, thank you.
It's important to get the vaccine, not just for you, but for other people, and so that'll mean our work comes back.
Go ahead and head down this line.
I felt like it was my patriotic duty to get this, so I won't infect others even if I don't get sick.
1, 2, 3. There you go. Gotcha.
I really appreciate the union helping me, and I appreciate that everybody here came out and getting vaccinated.
Estoy agradecida mucho con la unión que nos ha ayudado en todo lo que han podido y hacer el esfuerzo de ayudar a la gente.
It's humbling that the union put this effort out. I'm proud, very proud.
Well, that's it. I feel it's great. I'm so happy.
I want to give a special shout out to CFL Assistant to the President and Chief of Staff, Nora K. Ryan, for her amazing work in launching these clinics. As you can see, the spirit of solidarity is alive and well at the CFL today. On no day is that more evident than Labor Day, a sacred holiday in these parts, when we all take a moment to reflect on the successes and challenges of working people. As we look forward to the coming year, the CFL has two chief objectives at the state and federal levels: passing the Richard L. Trumka PRO Act in Congress, and passing the Workers' Rights Amendment Act on the ballot in Illinois next year. The PRO Act would finally level the playing field between workers and employers, giving working people the freedom to join a union and a fair shot at speaking out on the job. This legislation has passed the U.S. House, and we will not rest until it has passed the Senate and is signed into law by President Joe Biden. The Workers' Rights Amendment here in Illinois would constitutionally protect workers' ability to join together in unions to bargain for better wages and benefits on the job. As we've seen in the all-out assault on unions in other states, we cannot merely sit back and wait for the anti-union zealots to arrive here in Illinois. We must protect labor and all workers, and I urge you to support the amendment next year. But policy is merely one piece of the work we do here at the CFL. We will continue to support our organizing efforts, bringing new workers into the movement. We will continue to promote the work of union members and our communications, ensuring that everyone knows of the importance of the labor movement. And we will continue to rise to the challenges we all face during this pandemic, knowing that none of us are safe until we are all safe. And we will do this work on the shoulders of those who came before us, the working women and men of Chicago, Cook County, and beyond, whose toil and sacrifice we all must recognize and celebrate. We will do this work in the spirit of solidarity that has supported the CFL for 125 years. Thank you, and happy Labor Day.